our lives are stories. They tell us who we are. But me, my friends, my family, those we love and love no more. Live our lives as stories, not always knowing.
Hi, I'm Jo Pankridge, the National Convener for the Children's Book Council of Australia's Shadow Judging Program, speaking to you on Wadawurrung Country. The CBCA's contribution to the Foundation for Learning and Literacy Symposium focuses on the benefits of reading for pleasure gained by participating in the Shadower's Choice Awards. For those of you who may not know about the Shadow Judging Program, this initiative invites Australia's young people to register a group to read the shortlisted books from the CBCA's Book of the Year Awards in a category of their choice, to discuss and respond to the books as a community of readers, and then vote on their winner in the Shadower's Choice Awards. Recent Reading for Pleasure research, published by the Open University and the UK Literacy Association, suggests that it's important for teachers and librarians to have a wide and up-to-date knowledge of children's and teen literature, along with other texts. It also helps to know about students' reading and their interests beyond the classroom, and to prioritise the setting up of relaxed social reading spaces to build a community of readers that allow them to share their literary experiences. For this symposium, we've asked facilitators and a group of young people to speak to us about their experiences of participating in the Shadow Judging Program in the older reader category, and to see if and how it can impact on their reading for pleasure. I'd like to introduce Danny DeFoulis and Peter Blanchfield, the facilitators of the two Year 9 Shadow Judging groups at the Geelong College in Victoria. Could I first ask both of you to speak a little bit about your experiences facilitating a Shadow Judging group?
It's been really successful, seeing students able to immerse themselves in the literature and to delve into multiple stories, immerse themselves in the characters.
Getting to know the students, getting to know what they like to read, what sort of reading they enjoy, but also how they can extend themselves and talk amongst themselves about what they thought of texts, and making connections with each other, making connections to me as the librarian to help support the choices they make and to support what we put in our collection.
We've got a couple of readers in our tutorial group who just have a passion for reading, and they so quickly put their hand up. But there was also several others who wanted to engage in the opportunity, and particularly with our tutorial group situated in the library, they saw the opportunity and they felt like it was a real easy way to immerse themselves in some new stories too.
It's given me a broad variety of different new texts to choose from, and also allowed me to expand on my understanding of different genres that I don't normally gravitate towards, and has surprised me. Some of those typical tropes that I read to connect with the students actually became something I really enjoyed and had something to connect with the students about.
A little bit like Neverlanders as a graphic novel, which is something quite new for our older readers' shortlists. How did the students relate to a text like Neverlanders?
Well, they seemed really immersed in the story, but also they could recognise the fact that it was the start of a series, or they asked, you know, when's the next one coming out? We want to know what happens next. They could recognise the inspiration behind the story with Peter Pan and Neverland, but also really enjoyed the format and the accessibility of it.
Yeah, I think the opportunity to review and provide their feedback, it just extends their understanding of the literature. But then also I had one student who spoke to me and how they could see themselves, that it's a possibility, an opportunity into the future of where they might like to take their journey.
The element of student voice was something that was really strong. I think they appreciated the fact that they were highlighted, asked to come and join the group, and asked to have their input and have their voice put forward in a sort of a national forum, you know, where other people will see that their voices matter. And their contribution to the CBCA and the kind of Australian literature community is valued, and that's something that they can really take away towards their academic success, but also their personal pride and well-being and things like that.
How quickly they embraced the program, how quickly they were coming back for another book, and they were managing their program by themselves.
It encourages that self-motivation for sure. Students being able to, I'm just the facilitator, it's pretty hands-off from my end. Let them go, let them read, let them chat, let them recommend things to peers, tell them what they liked, what they didn't like about the text, but the important thing is that they're reading and they're excited by what they're reading.
Seeing that happen organically is obviously just something, as teachers, you stand back and you go, oh, this is working, and it's great.
It's so rewarding.
Shadow judging really encouraged me to read different genres. I read Completely Normal. It was definitely something that I wouldn't usually read, but I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Shadow judging, for me, I personally enjoyed it, getting to put my opinions out on books and things, and it's definitely got me to read some genres that I wouldn't have considered much. Like Completely Normal and Other Lies is a book that I normally would probably not pick up, and I read that along with the other books, and The Other Side of Tomorrow is also a book that I probably wouldn't have considered to read, but I'm reading currently, so.
Yeah, I recently picked up What We All Saw. I read the blurb and I was like, oh, it looks okay, and so I flicked through a couple pages and it turns out I really liked it, and so I'm like a couple pages into that now. It's really good.
Part of the shadow judging, I really enjoyed being able to learn what other people were thinking about some of the books I read.
Yeah, we could like bounce off recommendations. Like after someone read one book, we'd be like, oh, I found this really good. You can try and read it next as well. So that was really nice.
Which of the 6 books did you enjoy most?
Well, out of the 6 books, one of my favourites would have to be Neverlanders. I felt it had really good art style and a great set of dialogue. The characters were all quite enjoyable to read, and I loved how it was childish but also very mature, and how it delved into deep topics and spoke about stuff that you usually wouldn't hear in a book like it, and it's definitely a good read.
Yeah, it was sort of childish in a way that we could still read it, and there would be some heavier topics that like younger children wouldn't be able to properly understand throughout the book.
It was both mature and childish at the same time, and it would have just worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, Completely Normal definitely explored the heavier topics as well, like with grief and love and stuff, and the journey through all of that. So I found that really good.
When you start that book, like you don't expect that's what it's going to be about when you start it, and then it's just like plot twist after plot twist sort of in that book.
Yeah, I picked up What We All Saw, and I started reading. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then people are telling me it's horror, and that's like a dark topic, but that I quite enjoy. So I'm looking forward to reading it.
I personally enjoyed The Greatest Thing a lot. It's a graphic novel that covers some topics that you don't often hear about, but lots of people struggle with, and it's like exploring sexuality and struggles that people have in their personal lives with confidence and anxiety. So yeah, and it was really good.
Yeah, I read that one too. It's it covers a lot of topics that are like to do with teen life. So it's quite targeted at like us teens during high school and all the struggles that come with it. So it's really good.
It is great.
Students demonstrated that being part of the shadow judging program created a reading community that was engaging and motivating in terms of reading for pleasure.
Shadow judging has been lots of fun. It's pushed me to read some incredible books that I wouldn't have otherwise thought to read.
Shadow judging was an amazing experience that allowed me to connect with other students and read books from a variety of different genres that I really enjoyed but otherwise wouldn't have picked up. It was amazing to talk with Karen Kummer, an author, and pick up some tips from her on writing, as I want to be an author.
The process of reading and shadow judging has encouraged us to read for pleasure, as it has allowed us to be exposed to a wide variety of genres and writing styles that we might not have otherwise encountered. This exposure has piqued our interest in exploring different types of literature, leading to deeper appreciation for reading as a source of enjoyment.
The experience of shadow judging has allowed me to analyse a variety of elaborate and exciting texts, provoking an exploration of many different themes. Learning to understand so many different concepts that range significantly in maturity and solemnity has allowed me to gain a more insightful understanding of how authors personalise their novels to portray the world from their perspective.
Giving feedback on the shortlisted books as part of the shadow judging process allowed students to really demonstrate their passion as well as pleasure in reading.
The author of The Other Side of Tomorrow creates a very real world by giving the characters real and relatable issues that people will be able to connect with. They also make the characters' relationships, how they act and how they respond to things really understandable. Although you know you're reading a book, you get such strong emotions that you think you are living in it. I could write forever about this book. I loved it so much and I had such strong emotions while reading. I definitely recommend everyone to read this book.
What we all saw encouraged our group to read for pleasure, as the story was suspense-filled with a well-written horror story.
Many shadow judges submitted creative responses to the shortlisted books, which showed they not only enjoyed the freedom to be creative, but also deepened their experience of the books. The CBCA and those facilitating the shadow judging program are thrilled by the commitment of the over 250 shadow judging groups throughout Australia to their reading and their contributions. I invite you to visit the website and enjoy the heartfelt and creative responses shared by our young people reading for pleasure from the CBCA shortlisted books. You can log on to see the results of the Shadowers' Choice Awards on Friday, the 25th of August at 10 a.m. The Children's Book Council continues to be focused on listening carefully to young voices and considering their opinions and changing reading preferences in all that we do. In this way, we hope to continue to develop and support a vibrant reading culture that will impact how literature is included in our view of culture and entertainment. That is, seeing reading for pleasure as an integral part of our lives. Happy reading from all of us at the CBCA.
All our lives are stories, they tell us who we are. But me, my friends, my family, those we love and love no more. Live our lives as stories